Okay, we're back after cleaning and just did a oiling on this saddle. It may take some more, but when I started to clean my saddle, this is my working stock saddle. It's a 58 Wade with a wood post and what we call the heart horn. I was removing my brass conchos from my saddle. Conchos look like this, and I was removing them when I pulled a little too hard and I broke the saddle latigo. Actually, I broke two of them. I broke this one here, and I broke this latigo. No, I'm sorry. I broke this. Where was it now? This one and this one up here. Okay, so I broke the latigos by pulling on them too hard. As you can see, it's kind of split right there. So what I want to do is I want to remove these latigos and I want to show you how to replace them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off my girth hanging billet. On your saddle, there may be a nail in there. On a working stock saddle like mine, I don't nail the girth billets because it's just another nail that I have to pull out. So I'll put that on the side. And as you can see, here's my saddle latigo right here, and I can pull my front jockey right forward. I pull the jockey forward, and the latigo easily slips through the holes that are made for that purpose. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip my saddle over, and here's my latigo. So what I'm going to point out is here is the saddle latigo that we're working on. There's one here, 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 kind of covered. Also there, 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 and there. Those latigos are physically holding this saddle together. They're looped through and they're holding on the skirts and the jockeys. So all I really have to do is go ahead and lay my saddle on my stand. My stand is carpeted because I work on so many different saddles. So I'm going to go ahead and try if I can get this into the camera angle. And I'm going to take my needle nose pliers and I'm just going to give that just a little pry. And as you can see, it popped right out. So that's just some stuff left over from the other hole there on the shearling. I'm going to pull this right out. There's where I hit the broken spot when I pulled on. There's the broken spot right there. They'll no longer knot well. And then that's where the holes are going to be. So in order to replace this, I'm going to use my handmade lacing fed. It's simply a screwdriver that I've tapped down and I've drilled a hole in it. And we're going to see why in just a second. So here's a new saddle latigo. I get these from Weaver. Often they come packaged just like this. This is a pack of 2 saddle strings, and you can get them from Weaver Leathers from Weaver.com. I don't have any kind of deal with Weaver. I just use their products and I think they're good. So we'll take our shears and we'll go to the very end here and we're going to make a long angled cut. Just like that. So we got that nice and pointy. We're going to take the lacing fed that I made here and we're going to put it through the hole. Shows right there. Now in this case, I'm only going to actually be dummying this together because the holes are so good and so willing to accept the latigo, it goes right through. On your saddle, it may not be that easy. This saddle was designed with this repair in mind. So we'll go ahead and do the other end. We'll shear that long taper, just like that once again. And we'll go ahead and take our lacing fed. And in this case, it's more or less acting as a guide. So I'll look for my second hole. Whoops, get that back up here. It's right there. We're gonna go right through there. So I'll put my lacing fed up through the hole. As you can see, I've got my tapered end. I'll put it through the fed. Now it's through the fed. Now I can just take and just give it a wiggle and it'll pull it right through. So I'm going to go ahead and guide my latigo down and I want it to lay flat. So I'm going to do it just like doing shoelaces, and I'm going to try and get an equal distance here. It's pretty close. Okay, that's a pretty good equal distance. So now we're through the bottom and you can see where the latigo's been replaced right there where my thumb is. All right? And back to right side up on the saddle tree, on the saddle stand. Get things back in order here. And here's our new Latigo in place as you see it. Now we just reverse the order of how we took it apart. So I'll take my long or pre-sheared ends, I'll put it through, paying attention to the orientation of the Latigo so I don't wind up with the Latigo having a big twist in it. Here I've got my lariat rope holder stuck there. Okay, so I'm going to go like that, and I'm just going to give it a good snug. I'm going to pull it that way. Okay, right back to the same reverse order. We're going to go through the billet hanger, holes, and we're going to pull that billet hanger up like so. Then we're going to go to the rosette. And incidentally, these rosettes can be purchased through Weaver as well. If you lose or damage your rosette, as well as billet hangers can be purchased through Weaver. I believe they come in a pack. I just cut them myself when I need them, but you can order them all new. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is a regular X-Acto knife. Mine's kind of old. It's got some overspray paint on it and things like that. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your X-Acto knife and pick up on your Latigo string, and right about a 1/4 inch above the rosette, I want you to wiggle it through, just wiggle it through, and then I want you to wiggle it, get my head out of the way, wiggle it down a little bit. So I've got about approximately a 3/8 of an inch cut right here. I don't take my blade all the way through, but I could. Next, pretty simple, I take a standard needle nose pliers. It's done this many, many times, and I push it through the hole like that. And I don't push it all the way through. All I'm doing is rounding out the hole. So when I remove the needle nose pliers, I've got a nicely rounded hole. Pretty slick, huh? Not a lot of brain surgery here. Now we're going to go back to our pre-sheared edge, and we're going to put it from the bottom up. We're going to pull, oops, I made just a little bit too much of a loop here, and I looped my billet hanger. That's okay. Take it out. I'm going to pull up, and we're going to ensure that it comes up flat. Now, at this point, I give it a good snuggle. And you can see that half of my Latigo is prepared. Now, once again, I'm going to take the top string, just like I did before, and I'm going to take my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to push it on there, and I'm going to wiggle it, and it's going to wiggle through. The reason I wiggle it is because these X-Acto knives cut quickly, very quickly. I don't know of another tool that works better for this. And I go back to my needle nose, jaw closed, do the exact same thing as I did before, and as you can see, there's a nicely rounded hole. Once again, like a broken record, back to my sheared point, put it up through the hole, bring it down. Okay, now we know how to do that. Now, let's just reverse this a little bit, really quickly, and I'm going to give you a second chance to see this, except this time you're going to be able to see it with the brass concho. So, as I remove it, I lift up, I pull my bottom out, and we're right back to where we started if I want to replace it. So, at this point, I'm going to take my slotted handmade brass concho from Diablo Conchos in Grass Valley, California. And I'm going to put my 2 pre-sheared pieces in. And I'm going to treat it just as though it were that rosette. I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to pull it tight. The purpose for tying it the first time and then tying it the second time is that when I tie it with the concho on, because I tied it one time already, it's going to be nice and tight with the concho on. It's like a pre-adjustment of a belt. So through the top, as we did before, we're going to pull that Latigo right up, and we're going to loop our billet again, our off billet hanger. Okay. And I'm going to ensure that it goes through flat right here, and it does. I'm going to straighten it out, and my slot is already there. I'll take my needle nose pliers once again, go into my pre-cut hole, and as you can see, it's getting pretty tight. I'm having to put a little tension on. This is what I mentioned before about the Concho is going to make it fit nice and tight. Up through. Trying to keep my hands out of your vision there. Pull it up through. Give it a good snuggle. Straighten it out. Give it a little pull. And then as a final finish, I'm just going to reach over this way once. I'll take something like my leather mallet or a handle of a hammer, and I'll just give it a little tap, and that kind of sets it into position. So there we have it right there, a fresh Latigo. Remember, don't tap too hard if you've got a brass concho on, because it'll collapse the concho, so be careful with that. And there you have it, all tied up, all ready to go. And I've only got a dozen more to put on, and my 1958 Wade working stock saddle with the wood post and a hard horn will be ready to ride again, and it'll be welcome to have it back. Thank you for watching this video. I'm John Riffle from Emmett Saddlery.